This is QTV News coming to you live from our studios on Caraba Avenue. I am Jenna Basonko. Thanks for joining us here at the main news headlines. Participants in a high-level stakeholders meeting on the development and validation of the National Open and Distance Learning have described it as important and transformative. The Fonyi chapter of the Tapetal Pulagu, Gambia, over the weekend organized a cultural exhibition in Basari in the West Coast region. In business news, the Women Business Advocacy Group organized a breakfast meeting on Tuesday with partners and in relation to plans, achievements, as well as challenges, amongst others. In international news, French President Emmanuel Macron is expected to outline new Africa policy ahead of his visit to 4 African countries, which started on Wednesday. Also in international news, March the 1st is Zero Discrimination Day annually, and people all over the world commemorate the strides made in the fight against stigmatism. And exciting sports news, Gambia's under-20 team emerges as one of the teams to fare as they sail through to the under-20 AFCON quarterfinals in Egypt. Now, those were the main headlines, and now the news in detail. Do stay with us. Thank you so much for joining us. If you're just tuning in, you're watching QTV News, and I am Jenna Basonko. Now, participants in a high-level stakeholders meeting on the development and validation of National Open and Distance Learning have described it as important and transformative. The Ministry of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology, in partnership with the Commonwealth of Learning, organized the 3-day forum. Momodu Gajaga attended the forum, and he fastened this report.
Open and distance learning using digital technology is seen to be effective, efficient and affordable, as has been proven by online universities and other learning institutions. Stakeholders from various sectors who participated in the 3-day forum say open and distance learning is the future transformative way of learning. Dr. Jojondur Tambedu, CEO of Insist Global, the chair sector for ICT, says it has been a good 3 days of action.
It's been quite interesting, and it's been exciting to be part of this journey in drafting and reviewing the ODL policy for the education sector in the Gambia. We've learned about different experiences, the universities' experiences during COVID, how they cope, the different institutions, IOU's experience. That has been really insightful, because we've seen a lot of ODL policies in other countries, but also being implemented in other countries, but it has to fit our context, and that's what makes it very interesting and insightful.
ICT and the digital age have brought education closer for those that want to tap into the opportunities in open and distance learning. Despite the opportunities and the access ODL has, there are also challenges when the digital infrastructure is not adequate to make ODL as effective as it should be. Abubakar Jallo, Principal, The Gambia College, explains.
Yeah, that was why a SWOT analysis was done, where we look at the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities and threat as far as ODL is concerned. And we are not the only country that is into ODL. We've seen, even in this country, universities like the International Open University going online. At Gambia College, we have been doing distance learning when we introduced the PTC, and we had to develop modules and send it to them. That is also part of ODL. During COVID, we've used the Google platforms to be able to deliver lessons so that we don't lose a lot of time. So the threats are there, the weaknesses are there, but I think the opportunities that it will provide for the country overwhelms whatever obstacles may be there.
The Open Distance Learning Policy, ODL, was validated as amended by the stakeholders on Wednesday at the end of their 3-day meeting. Momodu Gajaga, QTV News.
The Fonyi chapter of Tapital Pulago, Gambia, over the weekend organized a cultural exhibition in Bisari in the West Coast region. The event was organized to create awareness on the importance of preserving the Fulani culture and promoting peace in the Gambia. Ansamanya Isuanyasi attended the event and he fastened us reports.
Tapital Pulagumbo is an international pro-Fula organization that seeks to promote the Fulani culture, peace, unity and tolerance worldwide, particularly within the Fulani community. In its drive to further promote the ideals of the organization, the national body also has regional chapters, one of which is the Fonyi chapter that last weekend held a cultural exhibition in the community of Bisira in Fonyi Bondale district in the West Coast region. Addressing members at the event, guest speaker Ambassador Esa Bokarsi stressed on the need to promote African culture and tolerance and how members can exploit opportunities, especially in commerce and agriculture. He says Africa has a rich heritage that, if preserved and promoted, will help in strengthening peace across the continent.
Most of us today in Africa are usually proud of mentioning Rwanda as their reference. Well, in Rwanda, they have what they call clusters. If we want to develop fast, well, where you have clusters in the galaxies, in space, I believe we are here using telescopes to watch the galaxy clusters. What about we build the mind clusters, the human clusters, the community clusters, where people will be sensitized?
Ambassador C further stresses on the need to promote tolerance and unity. He calls on Gambians to remain united and support all endeavors that seek to promote national development.
When you talk of development, you cannot jump to development without unity. And you cannot jump to unity without awareness. So sensitization is very important in whatever one does. And the only thing I can say is that we are proud to do it, and we are also feeling like we have risen above self to understand that we should never substitute collective development with individual development.
Sidi Dem, the president of Tapital Pulago, Gambia, Biram Sow, National Assembly member for Nyamina West, and Fatoumata Bajao, vice president of the Fonyi chapter, all spoke on the importance of events like this one in Fonyi. They say it brings people of all tribes and religion together and helps promote peaceful coexistence.
Our tradition, customs, and values, to nurture them back, because we all know traditional customs and values are fading out. And that the culture, when I say that, is so wide and broad. Discipline is part of it. This is just what teaching our children, our young youths, discipline.
Let's promote what unites us as a people and not things that divide us. Tapital Pulago is here to unite everybody. We should all endeavor to preserve our culture and participate in activities that brings us development.
Tapital Pulago is here for everyone who loves the Fulani culture. Regardless of one's tribe, we can together promote cultural diversity, peace, and development.
Saturday's event was attended by the mayor of KMC, Talib Ahmed Bensouda, all chiefs of Fonyi, among other important dignitaries. The event was characterized by dance performances and a cultural exhibition of the Fulani tradition. Answana Isonyasi for KTV News.
It's exciting to see Ajola reporting on a fuller story. Now, away from that, the Women Business Advocacy Group organized a breakfast meeting on Tuesday with partners to discuss the 2023-2024 updated plan, achievements, as well as challenges, amongst other things. Lol M. Kamara attended the event, and she has the rest of that story.
The forum brought together members of the business group, UN partner agencies, and representatives from government institutions. The Women Business Advocacy Group is advocating for the empowerment and inclusion of Gambian women in business. The group also advocates for gender-sensitive procurement policies, resulting in expanded opportunities for women in business. Fatoumata Jaware Dukure, the chairperson of the Women Business Advocacy Group, stated that since its establishment in 2019, they have made significant progress by bringing together all women business owners in the country under one umbrella. They are also the intermediary between the businesswomen and the government. Madam Jawara points out the need for this important forum.
Or no nation will be fully developed or empowered if women are left behind. Any nation that leaves women behind, I will just consider it as a nation that is not ready for development.
Ramatulai Barigay, the consultant for WOBAC Advisory Group, with the responsibility to design an appropriate plan that can be implemented by the group, shared some of their goals in the updated plan.
To improve the business environment and also to champion the gender-sensitive, responsive procurement, and also to look at the involvement of women in decision-making, in implementation of local and national plans, and also to look at the general business environment, the ease of doing business. How can we address some of these challenges?
Concerns were raised about the 30% procurement and other trade-related matters. Ramatulai Barigay elaborates.
This 30% is because women are just enjoying 1% of government procurement. And really they are underrepresented in procurement, in tendering and in procurement opportunities. So we want them to be more involved.
Sidi Keta, the Minister of Finance, says economic development cannot be centered without the empowerment of women, as they comprise 50% of the population. Minister Keta gave assurances of his ministry's continuous support.
We at the Ministry of Finance want a broad-based economic development that will leave no person behind. And the women are the pillars of that. So it is timely that women have their fair share in public procurement. And the objective of the Women Business Advisory Group in that direction is a step in the right action.
Other speakers included Sarata Konate, the Chief Executive Officer of the Gambia Chamber of Commerce, Yusuf Aketa, a representative of the International Trade Center, and Marian G. Jabang, the Directorate of Gender Equality and Women Empowerment at the Ministry of Gender. They all encourage members to push for policies and social change to advance women-owned businesses in the Gambia. For QTV News, Lolly M. Kamara.
From that story by Lolly M. Kamara, we will now go for a short commercial break. And when we come back, we have some more local news stories for you, international as well as sports. Don't go anywhere.
I've been vaccinated since we started, and then I've received 3 shots of the vaccines. I've taken 2 shots of AstraZeneca and a booster dose of Pfizer. When I took the vaccine, I think it was, people will say that like, okay, the vaccine is not safe and all those things, but we know that like it's a safe vaccine. Only that what I've seen is like mild fever when I took the vaccine, and then that was overnight, and then the second day I was okay. But it's a safe vaccine that we know that like people can definitely take, and then it will definitely protect them from the virus. Fortunately for me, I have not been infected with COVID. But like maybe I will just say because I took the vaccine early, I have seen people that have definitely that have not taken the vaccine and got the virus. My advice to the general public is the vaccines are safe and they are very effective in protecting us from the disease. So we will urge every member of the public to take this as an opportunity, get vaccinated to be protected against the virus.
As the fastest growing GSM company in the Gambia, QCell has the widest 4G plus coverage in the country, 3 times faster internet speed than our competitors. So switch now and dial *335# and enjoy what true 4G feels like. QCell, the Gambia's trusted network.
Welcome back from that short commercial break. If you're just tuning in, you're watching QTV News, and I am Jenna Basonko. Now let's take a look at news beyond our borders. French President Emmanuel Macron is expected to outline new Africa policy ahead of his visit to 4 African countries, which started on Wednesday. Julden Jai has more.
Emmanuel Macron will arrive in Gabon, a former French colony, to attend the One Forest Summit on preserving forests along the vast Congo River basin. He will then head to the former Portuguese colony of Angola as part of a drive to enhance France's ties with the French and Portuguese-speaking parts of Africa. After Congo-Brazzaville, another former French colony, he will then end his trip in the neighboring Democratic Republic of Congo, which was ruled by Belgium during the colonial era, on Friday and Saturday. His visit comes as Paris seeks to counter growing Russian and Chinese influence in Africa, and just as Paris' influence on the continent is facing its biggest challenge in decades. Growing anti-French sentiment has led to street protests in several West and North African countries. The French head of state is set to unveil his priorities and method to deepening the partnership between France, Europe and the African continent, the presidential office has said. President Macron is also expected to give more details about the future of the French military presence on the continent after announcing in the autumn the end of its Barkhane anti-jihadist operation in the Sahel. The operation started in August 2014 and ended in November 2022. In January, Burkina Faso gave France a month to withdraw its 400 special forces and announced the official ending of the French military operation in the country a week ago. In Mali, French troops withdrew from the country after the military government there started working with the Russian private military contractor. France still has thousands of troops in the region, including in Niger and Chad, but is seeking to redeploy some towards the Gulf of Guinea and tone down its presence on the ground. President Macron acknowledged that Africa is now a field of competition and urged French businesses to wake up and get involved in the fight. Macron says France will stand by Africa on security issues. The president has insisted that Africa is a priority for his second term in office, and in July he had visited Cameroon, Benin and Guinea-Bissau. Macron's latest speech ahead of his mini tour follows a 2017 speech to students at a university in Burkina Faso, in which he pledged to break away from his country's former post-colonial policies on the continent. In that speech, Macron condemned colonial crimes and people traffickers in Africa. He criticized the crimes of European colonization and called for a truly new relationship between Africa and Europe. Analysts will be observing his trip to see what, if any, change the visit will have on the France-Africa relations. For QTV News, I am Julden Jai.
Now I'm looking forward to the new Africa policy. Still in international news, March the 1st is Zero Discrimination Day annually, and people all over the world celebrate the strides made in the fight against stigmatism and recognize that there is still much to do. Mohamed Balde has more.
Zero Discrimination Day is observed annually by the United Nations and many other organizations in the fight against stigmatism and discrimination. The day was first celebrated in 2014 and launched by the former UNAIDS Executive Director and former Minister of Health and Social Affairs for Mali, Michel Sidibé. UNAIDS is the United Nations Joint Program on HIV/AIDS and is the leading advocate for coordinated global action on the HIV pandemic. This year's theme for Zero Discrimination Day is Save Lives, Decriminalize, which addresses the punitive laws and regulations still upheld in many countries that make it increasingly difficult for those affected by HIV to have access to healthcare and live dignified lives. In 2021, the world set ambitious law reform targets to remove the criminal laws undermining the HIV response and leaving key populations behind. Countries made a commitment that by 2025, less than 10% of countries would have punitive legal and policy environments that affect the HIV response. Winnie Byanyima, current executive director of UNAIDS, said, "Criminalizing laws chase people away from life-saving treatment." She goes on to assert that at the country level, repealing criminal laws that are driving people away from HIV prevention and treatment is critical. Zero Discrimination Day should be of particular importance to all Gambians and Africans in general, as research shows that out of the 38.4 million people with HIV globally, 66% live in sub-Saharan Africa. According to the most recent HIV data on Gambia in 2017, about 26,000 people in the country are living with HIV. Certain LGBTQ movements have also commemorated Zero Discrimination Day as a means of advocating for LGBTQ rights and fighting against stigma due to sexual orientation. For QTV News, Mohammed Balde.
All right, also use this opportunity to know your HIV status. Now let's go and take a look at some exciting sports news. Gambia have finished on top of Group C in the Under-20 Africa Cup of Nations in Egypt, winning all their group games while keeping a clean sheet in every match. Our sports reporter Mamadou Gajaga has been monitoring their progress in the competition, and he now reports.
The Gambia's young Scorpions have matched their best ever performance in the ongoing Under-20 Africa Cup of Nations in Egypt, winning their 3 group games while scoring 4 goals, conceding none, and winning 3 Man of the Match awards. As if that wasn't already enough of an achievement, Alaji Sen, captain of the team, who scored twice, one in each game against Tunisia and Zambia, was included in the team of the group stage. Gambia's coach Abdoulaye Bojang was chosen by a selection panel as coach of the group stage. The Gambia defeated Tunisia 1-0 in their Group C opener, before winning 2-0 against Zambia and capping it off with a 1-0 win against Benin. In 2007, at their maiden Under-20 Africa Cup of Nations in Congo-Brazzaville, under late coach Peter Bonu Johnson, Gambia won all 3 group games in the group phase, scoring the same number of goals and conceding none. In this tournament, their final group game was against Benin, which they won 1-0 thanks to a late own goal. Coach Bojang made 10 changes from the team that started against Zambia. Despite these changes, Gambia were still better than their opponents. The draw is now complete for the knockout stage. In the quarterfinals on Friday, the Gambia will play South Sudan, who finished as one of the best third-place teams. Mamadou Gajaga, QTV News.
Congratulations to them and good luck. Now, before we end this news bulletin, let's recap our main headlines. Participants in a high-level stakeholders meeting on the development and validation of the National Open and Distance Learning have described it as important and transformative. The 4-year chapter of Tapital Pulagu Gambia over the weekend organized a cultural exhibition in Bisra in the West Coast region. In business news, the Women Business Advocacy Group organized a breakfast meeting on Tuesday with partners' work plans, achievements, as well as challenges. In international news, French President Emmanuel Macron is expected to outline new Africa policy ahead of his visit to 4 African countries, which started on Wednesday. Also in international news, March the 1st is Zero Discrimination Day annually, and people all over the world commemorate the strides made in the fight against stigmatism. And also exciting sports news, Gambia's Under-20 team emerges as one of the teams to fare as they sail through to the Under-20 AFCON quarterfinals in Egypt. Well, that is all we have for you in this edition of QTV News. Do join us at 10 p.m. for another bulletin. Thanks for watching and have a great evening.